So at that leadership session, Nisha, the facilitator, asked us, if money wasn't an issue, what would you be creating? How would you be using your time? What would you be doing if money wasn't an issue? And I knew straight away. I was like, I would still be doing what I'm doing. Because even if money wasn't an issue, I know that spiritual women who are very gifted, who carry a lot of magic, still have imposter syndrome, still have a fear of visibility, a fear of failure, a fear of really stepping into their power. And this is what I've been put on this earth for, to guide these women back to their power, to overcome their fear of visibility, to overcome their fear of success, and to actually own their magic. And through their unique magic, make ripple effects in their community. Welcome to Empower and Evolve, the vortex of growth that you have been looking for. I am your host, Kat Tunnyberg. I'm a mindset coach for female leaders, and I am committed to helping you cultivate the mindset shifts that generate you wild success. Each episode, we explore ways to tap into your true potential. We face the shadows that hold you back, and we embrace the journey toward your most abundant life. If you love what you learn here today, then I invite you to share this episode with someone that needs to hear it. Right, it's time to plunge in. Hello, my love. Welcome to this episode of the Empower and Evolve podcast. Today, I'm going to share with you my experience at this year's Earth Daughters Festival, which was absolutely magnificent once again. So many surprising takeaways and realizations, and I'm just so grateful that I got to be there and present again. It was really, really, really special to be able to do that. And before we dive into the episode, I actually want to share that this is going to be the last episode for a little while. I'm actually going to be taking a little break from the podcast just because it's going to go through a little bit of a rebrand. I've been working a lot the back end of my business over the last year and a bit, and really getting clear on what is in alignment, what needs to shift, what needs to change, what needs to be dropped. And I've been having this niggling sensation for a while now that the podcast needs a little bit of a rebrand. And also going into summer, it feels really good to take a little bit of a break so that I can live my life, have fun, work a little bit less, and come back with a bang with the rebrand sometime in the fall. Maybe later. Who knows? Let's be honest, it will be in the fall because I'm going to miss having this outlet to share what's alive for me right now and add more value to you. Now let's talk about Earth Daughters. This was my third year attending and my second year facilitating. And Earth Daughters has a really special place in my heart. It was my first ever women's festival that I attended back in 2023. And at that point in my life, I was predominantly teaching yoga, doing menstrual cycle coaching and human design readings. And I had not yet come across this network of women doing this really, really powerful work when it came to feminine embodiment, women's empowerment, and all those things. And I just remember arriving at the festival and attending the sessions and just saying to myself, I have found my people. Like, these are my people. And that was really special. And still to this day, one of my core memories is on the Saturday night, dancing on the bluffs at that past location with 200-ish women naked and just feeling so free. So with that, Earth Daughters has a very special place in my heart. Very, very special. I'm very, very grateful to have been able to share my medicine now for 2 years in a row the organizer of Earth Daughters, Amanda. She is incredible. Her vision for this event is really, really beautiful. And the fact that she pulls it off like this is just incredible, like absolutely incredible. And the event has been growing. Like when I attended for the first time in 2023, it was only 250 women. Last year was 500 women. This year it was 700 women. And it's just insane, like how that really shifts the energy. And I really loved it because there's something truly special about 700 women gathering, reclaiming their wild feminine nature. Like that is special. Don't get me wrong, this little introvert here loves small gatherings and intimate circles. Big groups do overwhelm me. There's a reason why I'm building an online business. And yet I do love these spaces and they are so freaking nourishing. But let me take you on a journey of my highlights because there were so many, so freaking many. So we arrived on Thursday and we started to set up camp, and I hosted my first session on Thursday night. It was my masculine and feminine energetics workshop, which the year before was a huge highlight for a lot of women. And I had a really big group of women last year. It was like 60 to 70. And this year was smaller. It was like around 20, 25 women. I mean, it was the add-on day, the early add-on day. And also a lot of people were just arriving and setting up camp, etc. So it was cool to get that more intimate feeling and have a more intimate circle to be able to talk about this. And I shifted the content of the workshop a little bit because I've shifted and changed over the year. And it was, again, very well received. And it was really beautiful to just see these women reclaim both their feminine and their masculine, as well as have some huge aha moments in regards to what their role has been in certain relationship dynamics in their lives. Like, again, there was so much incredible feedback. And I know that that session can be a little bit triggering for some people, but I warn about it. And afterwards, one of the women said, like, that was triggering because I thought that I was just blaming my partner for being X, Y, and Z. But now I actually recognize what my role is in all of this. And that just means so much to me. And afterwards as well, women approaching me and asking me more about my work and what I do. And just so special. Just so, so, so special. And then on Friday was a pretty crazy day because the rain came in, and it came in hot and heavy. Oh my goodness. I'm glad we had as many tops as we did. We set up this whole freaking system and we managed to stay dry. It was a crazy day. I definitely noticed throughout the festival, actually, I spent quite a bit more time in our camp. And I believe that there was many reasons for that. The weather, it was cold and rainy. The fact that I was still a little bit tired from attending and facilitating at the Sacred Village Festival and then having my friend's wedding like the weekend after and then going straight into Earth Daughters. I also recognized that this was a 5-day event this time. And that's a lot of energy over 5 days. And knowing myself, like, I do need some time alone. So I spent a lot more time at the camp this year, which was also really nice because that gave me the chance to connect more deeply with the women that we traveled together with, some who I hadn't really connected with before. And I can't remember if it was on Friday. I believe it was on Friday. I attended Jane Hardwick Collins' first session. And if you do not know who Jane is, you need to look her up. I'll have her Instagram in the show notes. She's one of the OGs when it comes to like women's empowerment work, feminine embodiment work, cyclical work, seasonal, like inner seasons work, all that. And I remember learning about Jane and her teachings during my cycle coach training. We were graciously allowed to use some of her teachings in the training and then also recommended to share them on. So it felt really special for me to be able to facilitate at the same festival as Jane. And I attended her Earth Woman Rising, which was all about how to deconstruct the internal patriarchy. And in that session, she spoke actually a lot that the judgments we carry about ourselves and other women are actually part of the internalized patriarchy, and how we want to dismantle these inner judgments and really cultivate sisterhood. And it was really beautiful because I had never actually drawn the connection between patriarchy and our inner self-judgment. Like now I can see it and I'm like, duh, because it's connected to the sister wound, and patriarchy has created the sister wound and the witch wound, and it makes sense. But I'm like, I never had seen it before. And it was so cool. It was honestly so special to be able to witness that. And then the rest of Friday is kind of a bit of a blur. Don't really know what happened. There was lots of other amazing workshops I attended as well, even though I actually was pretty picky with where I invested my energy this year because I knew that I had limited amounts of it. And on Saturday, the real magic started to unfold. I had my tranquil integration hypnosis that evening, and I had connected with a beautiful sister. Her name is Ken. I'll also make sure that I'll have her Instagram in the show notes because I really, really want to give her a huge shout out. I had connected with her prior to the festival because I saw that she was facilitating PEMF sessions, pulse electromagnetic field, I think it's called. But it's this mat, and basically you lay on it and then it helps you regenerate. And I had heard that that is extremely good for MS. So I was curious about having a session with her. But I didn't book anything in advance because when me and her connected, we kind of decided to just go with the flow a little bit. So then on Saturday, I was meant to go to a session, but that session it didn't end up being what it was advertised as. So I left and I was like, well, I have this window now before my session. I wonder if I can either get an astrology reading or maybe I can find Ken and get a session from her. Because I also know that when I go to facilitate, I actually really love receiving first and kind of using different modalities to ground into my energy in order to be able to facilitate more powerfully. So I walk away from that session that wasn't what it was meant to be. And one of the first people I ran into is Ken, of course. And I asked her whether she had availability now, and she said yes. And so we ended up going and having the session. And she asked me whether I wanted to add energy work to my session as well. And I said, yeah, hell yeah. So I had the most powerful energy healing session I have ever had in my life. She took me on a journey of all the senses. Like there was sound, there was smell, there was touch. There was no visuals because I had an eye mask on, but it was beautiful and I could feel it. And like whilst I was laying there, I just had all these like ideas drop in about my session and even my mastermind, and just like it just all started to come to me. And like I felt like I left the planet. And then afterwards I went to the camp and I literally, like my girlfriends, one of them who was assisting me at my integration session, I was like, literally, like, I am on a different planet. I haven't landed yet, but I know that whatever I'm about to deliver is going to be really powerful. So we went in to the womb tent, and the womb tent's one of my favorites. It's this fully enclosed tent. I was in there last year as well, even though it looked a little bit different. And last year for my hypnosis session, I had maybe about 30 people. And this year, the tent filled up. Like I had something close to like around 70 women, give or take, in that tent coming to join me for hypnosis. It was incredible. Incredible. Like I do not have the words. I just remember like at one point when I had them deep in hypnosis, just like looking at them and seeing some of them like completely out, like heads back, mouths open. Some of them were snoring. And I just had a tear in my eye because I was like, this is so beautiful. These women have been doing such incredible work. And now they're here to receive and integrate and rest and I am the one who gets to guide them through that. That just felt so special, which actually leads me, I'm going to be like jumping back and forth a little bit now, but that's okay. Which leads me to my biggest highlight from the festival. And that was seeing my one-on-one client, Linda, again. Linda and I met at last year's Earth Daughters. She actually attended my hypnosis session, and I just noticed her straight away. I could notice her. She is in her 60s, and I could, in 2024, really see a lot of heaviness in her. I could see a lot of pain, a lot of grief. And I was always wondering, what's the story of this woman? Like, I was really curious. She ended up signing up for my newsletter. And I sent a few emails over the summer sharing my own stories and what I'm up to. And she responded to a few of them and started to open up about her journey and what's been going on for her. And I felt called to ask her if she's ever considered one-on-one coaching. So we ended up on a call. She ended up signing up for 12 months of one-on-one coaching with me. So at this point now, we've been coaching for about 10 months. And she's a different woman. I have coached her through leaving a relationship that she was afraid to leave, that was toxic, draining, wasn't serving her. And it felt really scary because she was financially relying on this person. And she managed to leave. She managed to start over. At one point, she told me, like, I don't know, I'm going to be able to afford the next payment. But she found a way. She found a way. Started to find joy again. She started to connect with new people, putting herself out there, started to date again, started to just have more fun, started to recognize the relationships that weren't serving her and removing herself from them, started to go on more adventures, bought herself a new vehicle, bought herself a rooftop tent. I mean, this woman drove from Las Vegas in her Subaru with her rooftop tent to Golden, BC. And she's just on a bit of a road trip right now. Like, she isn't home yet, and she's just traveling around. And even knowing all of that about her, I was like, it's never too late to change your life. And it's such an honor to guide a woman at that age through such a transformation and to be there and support her. So when I saw her again at the festival, and I got to see her straight away on Thursday, and it was really beautiful and special, I could see that she was a different woman. I remember what she used to look like in 2024. And this year, first of all, she'd released a ton of weight. She was glowing. She was radiant. She was joking. She was energetic. Her body was more limber. And it felt really beautiful to recognize that I know that I've played a part in this. And of course, she's the one who's done the work. But it felt really special. And I'm going to fast forward to my biggest takeaway, and then I'm going to come back to some of my other shares. But on Monday, after one of the last sessions I attended besides the closing ceremony, Linda's daughter came to me. She hugged me and she said to me, "Thank you for everything that you've done for my mother. Our relationship has never been better." And it was in that moment, through that mirror and through that reflection, something in me healed. Because I have a complicated relationship with my mom. I am the same age as Linda's daughter. Linda's the same age as my mom. And it felt really special. Like, really, really beautifully special. And it's to this day my highlight of this year's Earth Daughters. To have that mirror and to get that reflected back at me, feel the impact that it had on myself and my journey. Really special. Oh, I also attended a really beautiful, and I can't remember what day it was. I think it was Saturday. Maybe it was Sunday morning. No idea. I think it was Saturday. A session called Devotional Leadership. And it was really beautiful. I really loved the leadership session. I attended at Sacred Village, and it had really profound effects on me. If you haven't listened to the last episode, I highly recommend going and listening to it.
because I really feel that having the breakthroughs that I had at Sacred Village prepared me to be more in my power at Earth Daughters. So at that leadership session, Nisha, the facilitator, asked us, if money wasn't an issue, what would you be creating? How would you be using your time? What would you be doing if money wasn't an issue? And I knew straight away. I was like, I would still be doing what I'm doing, because even if money wasn't an issue, I know that spiritual women who are very gifted, who carry a lot of magic, still have imposter syndrome, still have a fear of visibility, a fear of failure, a fear of really stepping into their power. And this is what I've been put on this earth for, to guide these women back to their power, to overcome their fear of visibility, to overcome their fear of success, and to actually own their magic. And through their unique magic, make ripple effects in their community. That's what I love doing. That's what lights me the fuck up. And to get that reflection, like I didn't even think, like it was just straight away, like it just dropped in when that question was asked. I was like, yeah, this is why I'm on this earth. So it really felt like Earth Daughters helped me claim my mission even more. Like it was this really beautiful mirror that reminded me of the importance of my work. Because if you remember this from the Sacred Village Festival reflection, true leadership needs to be equal amounts humility and confidence. And the women in the spiritual space who have incredible gifts often have a huge amount of humility, but not enough confidence. And if I can help them claim that confidence, help them claim that self-trust, help them step into their power, stop seeking external validation, and know from deep within what they've been put on this earth for, then I've done my job. So that was a huge takeaway from me for me from the festival as well. The performances were incredible. Oh my God, Maya Stark, she's an incredible singer, and her group, She Rose, like, wow, their performance on Friday night was incredible. And then there were some few women from the communities that also performed, which were incredibly beautiful. Sunday night, Snow Raven performed, like, whew, that woman, oh my God, I don't even have the words. And Ruby Chase as well. So freaking incredible. But another one of my highlights was actually, I got my period 4 days early, which is really interesting because normally it's like clockwork 28 or 29 days. But I arrived 4 days early. I kind of knew that it might happen. And I had booked a session with Lacey for hands in and on pelvic care, womb continuum. And I've done a podcast episode with Lacey. I'll make sure that that's linked in the show notes as well, where I share about my first experience having a session with her in 2024 and how special that felt to be held by a woman in this way. Because I was like, oh, I wonder what it would feel like to have another woman's hands up my vagina. So this year, I actually booked a session with her because I've been having some internal issues. Like on the right side, my organs have all been stuck together. My osteo hasn't been able to really relieve them. So I had reached out to Lacey to see whether this is something that she thinks this could help with. And she said yes. But then on Sunday morning, when I was meant to have my session, Lacey, I got my period. And I was like, oh, is this going to work? Like, can I have a hands in pelvic care session whilst on day one of my bleeds? I was like, oh, I don't know how this is going to work. And I went to Lacey and she was like, oh, I have no problem if that's okay with you. And it was okay with me. Like I've done so much healing around my period and I don't see it as something disgusting, etc. So it actually felt extremely powerful to be held by another woman on day one of my bleed in that way. And we were able to really loosen up those organs and create space. Like I could feel the difference. And I haven't been really feeling any low back pain now since the session as well, which was like huge beforehand. So that was wild, like absolutely wild experience, incredibly beautiful. And something else just kind of dropped in for me, which I almost forgot, which is crazy that I almost forgot it. And this is what I mean. There were so many synchronicities, so many special moments. I was also able to, I need to share another one after that of synchronicities, just the way that magic happens. Do you remember the story of my drumstick from Sacred Village? How I got gifted that by the indigenous elder who used it to open the opening ceremony. So this year at opening ceremony at Earth Daughters, I just sit somewhere in the crowd on my blanket and I have my drum with me. And the woman next to me asked me, like, hey, my name is Alette. I'm going to be opening this ceremony and I forgot my drum. Can I use yours? And I was like, oh, what? And she was another indigenous elder. I said, of course. So my drumstick has opened 2 women's festivals now through opening ceremony and has been used by 2 indigenous elders. Absolutely insane. You can't make that shit up. And I told Alette afterwards about it as well. And she smiled and said, thank you. It's almost like Maya, the woman who gifted me the stick, knew that this was going to happen. Incredible. And a couple more beautiful synchronicities stories that I want to share with you. On Thursday, when we packed the car and we were going to meet with some of the girls from Golden in a certain location to convoy out together, we pulled up and in the car next to me, it's freaking Brooklyn and Emma from Sacred Village. And I'm like, no fucking way. Like, what are you girls doing here? And it felt just so special to be able to connect with them before driving to the festival. And then we ended up camping like a few spots from them. And it was just so divine to be able to connect with them again and to have Lexi, their dog, there again. And honestly, I'm so grateful to have met these women because they are some of the most beautiful souls I know. And that was just divine synchronicity. And then right before my tranquil integration hypnosis, they were the ones who were in the womb tent before me. And it just felt like energetically just so powerful. And another synchronicity story. So for a while now, I have been having this internal feeling that I'm going to be somewhere else for my birthday this coming year in 2026. And I had no idea why or like where or what or anything. And then I meet this beautiful woman here during the facilitator welcome ceremony. Her name is Hope. She facilitates a beautiful festival in Hawaii. And we had a beautiful interaction at one point. And I was like, oh, what if I could go and facilitate in Hawaii? And I started to think about it more. And she had put some of her flyers around. They were in the porta potties. And I was sitting in the porta potty and looking at the flyer. And I was like, I need to find Hope. I need to connect with her. I need to find out whether they already have their lineup for January or not. Because I could see that the festival was actually like 5 days before my birthday. So I could just stay in Hawaii for my birthday. I was like, this is just, everything is lining up. This is like incredibly crazy. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go and find Hope and connect with her. I come out the toilet and she's the first woman I see. Like, what? And I told her and she said that they had just opened the application process and that I should definitely apply. So yeah, it's like just synchronicity. I had so many women come and find me who either attended the masculine and feminine workshops this year or last year and say how much it changed their life. Someone who was able to leave a toxic relationship and find a new dream partner through what they learned at this beautiful workshop. Women coming to me after the hypnosis ceremony saying that suddenly their clairs were coming alive, their spiritual gifts were coming alive, and how they had most profound experiences during that hypnosis session. And just incredible. Like, I do not have the words to describe everything I experienced at this festival. It was beautiful. I'm humbled that I could share my medicine there again. So grateful to be part of that community. So grateful for all the women who attended my sessions. And so grateful that I got to attend Sacred Village first because it needed to be happened for me to actually overcome my own imposter syndrome. which allowed me to step more into my power for this festival. That's it. I hope you'll enjoy the little pause on this podcast. And there is like over 90 episodes that you can binge and listen to if you haven't listened to all of them. There's so much gold. I really encourage you to check it out and acquaint yourself with my work. I'll be available on social media, so make sure that we connect on there. And I would love to hear about your Earth Daughters experience if you also attended, or if you had some crazy aha moments from me sharing my story. Thank you for being here. I'll catch you next time. Bye.
Thank you for joining me on the Empower and Evolve podcast. I hope that today's episode has sparked a new insight, or perhaps reminded you of your own power to manifest change. If you found value in our time together, I invite you to subscribe and share this podcast with someone who might need a little reminder of their own magical power. It would mean the world to me if you could take just 2 minutes to review the podcast and help it reach more people. And remember, the journey of transformation is ongoing, and sometimes the most powerful step that we can take is to simply pause, breathe, and realign with our deepest intention. Until next time.